Oh,
Okay.
wait, we're on the air, but we have to, go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the court takes out the bulb.
Why did they do that?
Um,
Was the blue light upset them?
It's a court, and it's a judge, I don't ask questions.
Okay.
Can't question the judge.
I don't ask.
Okay, he doesn't like to be on the air. Okay. All right, I hereby call the zoning board of adjustment regular meeting of February 21st, 2023 to order at 7:33. Call to order and statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting/hearing has been provided by posting a copy of the public meeting hearing dates on the municipal bulletin board and website, by sending a copy to the Echo Sentinel and Courier News newspapers, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. Standard board procedures. Any hearing conducted by the board is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Meeting cutoff. Announcement is made that, as a matter of procedure, it is the intention of the zoning board of adjustment not to continue any matter past 10:30 p.m. in any regular or special meeting of the board unless a motion is passed by the members then present to extend the meeting hearing to a later specified cutoff time. Electronic devices. All in attendance are asked to please mute your phones so that they do electronic devices, so not to interrupt the proceedings. Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. You want to do the roll call now? Or you
No,
wanna-
after.
Okay, after, okay. As most of you know, or I don't, I'm assuming most of you know, unfortunately, Brian Johnson has resigned his position on the board, and thereby opening up the position of vice chairman. He chose to pursue his private venture of being an architect, and hopefully we will see him before the board. And I told him we can hassle him, but no.
I think we'll have to recuse ourselves, though.
Yeah, right, we all know him, that's right. But, no, I'm sad to see that he's going. I mean, I'm happy for him that he's trying a new venture, but I'm sad to see that it involves resigning from the board. As such, we need to elect a new vice chairman. I've spoken with a member, of which I am more than happy to nominate Tom Grokoff as the, for vice chairmanship. Do I hear any other nominations? Okay, do I hear a second to that nomination?
Second.
Okay,
Roll call.
roll call. Hey, Gary.
Chairman Correct.
Yes.
Ms. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Aronio.
Yes.
Mr. Giannakis.
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf.
Yes.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Slide over, Tom. Put your name on there. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
You have to fill big shoes there. I don't know what his size was, but
12 and a half.
yeah, 12 and a half. There you go. That'd be big shoes. Okay, now we have the roll call.
Now I should take the official roll, yeah. Okay. Mr. Aronio.
Here.
Mr. Giannakis.
Here.
Mr. Grosskopf.
Here.
Mr. Hain.
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Here.
Ms. Brennan.
Here.
Mr. Flatley is excused this evening. Vice Chairman Grosskopf.
I already said here. Yes.
Oh, I said, sorry, I didn't rearrange my order yet, sorry. I told you I'm very tired from the weekend, okay. My apologies. And
Still
Chairman
here.
Correct.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good, thank you. And it's also good news to know that since that vacancy, everyone else moves up. Jessica, you will be now a regular member. And
Well,
Flatley got
yeah.
promoted.
Jessica takes Tom's term.
Yes,
Tom takes Brian's term.
right.
Flatley takes Jessica's term.
And then we need someone to fill Flatley.
Correct.
So Flatley got promoted from private to corporal.
Actually, no, you keep your term, yeah, because you're a regular member.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah,
It gets very confusing.
Yes, there you go. That's all right, we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Well, the township committee figures it out
Yes.
tomorrow night.
That's what I mean. So, the meeting minutes will not be voted on tonight, that'll be next meeting. So now, we go to the application. Is the applicant for Block 13702, Lot 3, Zone R3, 35 Preston Drive, application number 22-12Z, known as 35 Preston LLC, care of Stephen Lang Esquire. Applicant proposes to construct an addition and deck on a single-family residence in the rear of the property. Is the applicant here? Yes. Would you step forward, please?
Mr. Chair, you might want to ask if this gentleman over here is for the Carlton Road application?
Are you, sir, are you here for the Preston Drive or for Carlton Road? Are you here for one of the applications?
Yes, I got a letter about a Kaufman Drive.
Oh, no.
Carlton Drive, okay.
That one's being moved, sir. I thought you might have heard when I told the other gentleman. Colton is being moved to March 21st.
Stephen, you can have a seat.
You can have a seat. Yeah, that's gonna be moved because of procedural issues. He had to renotice. So, sorry about that. I thought you may have heard. Didn't realize.
This is the first one
Yeah,
in
okay.
55 years.
I'm sorry you had to,
It's been changed.
I'm sorry you had to make the trip here for nothing, but we can't control those things.
Forest Drive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It'll be on March 21st. You'll get another notice for it.
We have a easel here if you'd like to use it. So I assume you're here for the Preston Drive,
You have-
right?
You can use this particular.
All right, now, turn to my attorney. Have they qualified with notices and all that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I can verify that the applicant has submitted the requisite notice, timely served, and the content was also sufficient, so the board has jurisdiction over this matter.
Thank you.
It's all you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Now,
I will need to swear them
yes,
the
go
guys
ahead.
in here, so. Gentlemen, could I get your names, please?
Lang, Steve Lang.
Steve Lang.
William Scott.
Great. So, Steve, are you the attorney?
I am an attorney, but I'm not the attorney.
Oh, you're acting as applicant? Okay, so I gotta swear you and say, okay, just making sure. Could you two raise your right hands, please? And Liz, I guess we might as well get you two, all in one shot. Okay, do you swear to God or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the testimony you're about to provide? Okay, great, thank you very much. Right, we're sworn.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, Mr. Lang, I understand that you brought the application before the board for the property at Preston Drive, and that you wish to do an addition and a deck, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, would you like to start off by explaining a little bit about it to the board and put on your evidence?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm just not sure, like, what capacity everybody's operating in, because here
Okay.
it says applicant's attorney, I just want to know who everybody is. I'm sorry, would you mind doing that? I must have missed it. I know you said you're an attorney, but you're not representing the
I am an
applicant.
attorney, but
It's your application.
I'm right.
It's your home.
I'm pro se, yes. So it's not my
Okay.
home, it's an investment.
Right, but you're
But
acting
you-
on behalf of.
You are the applicant. You are the
On behalf
applicant.
of
I am
yourself,
the
okay.
Okay.
And this is my surveyor, engineer.
Okay,
engineer.
thank you.
Great.
On that note, could we get his credentials just on the record to see if
Yes.
the board accepts him?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree from Clarkson University in New York State. I was obtained my professional engineer's license in 2004 from the state of New Jersey. I've had it in good standing ever since then, currently in good standing. I've appeared before approximately 3 dozen municipal boards throughout central New Jersey. I have not had the opportunity to appear before the Long Hill Board yet. But I've been throughout Somerset and Surrey.
Okay. All right, we accept you as a qualified engineer, thank you.
Right.
Could you put that microphone a little closer to you and pick it up, because we want to make sure everything goes on the record.
Yeah, if it's not working, the one behind you, you might be able to take that out.
Yeah, it's
Okay, there we go.
working, it's
Okay, cool.
working.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
problems with it with planning board last week.
Okay. All right, proceed.
Okay, I bought around, about a year ago, this property at 35 Preston Street. It was in pretty bad
Can I get you to speaking like Steve? Thank you.
Yeah.
And make sure the audio is picking you up.
I bought this property about a year ago in the name of this LLC, and with the purpose of rehabbing it and making it into a more modern home, and subsequently decided to expand it somewhat, which is the purpose of this application. It's an older home. It hadn't really been. It's from the 1960s, 1950s, 60s, and a very small ranch that had not really been updated the home, but of course, I have another set of plans showing that we are breaking out the master bedroom about 250 feet, and also adding a deck to take advantage of this beautiful view that this property has up on the beautiful hills of Longwood. So that was my purpose, that is my purpose, and that is what I'm doing, but unfortunately, we have to come here to ask, that's not unfortunate, we have to come here and ask for permission because we have a very slight, minor, de minimis increase of the side yard. I believe in my engineer will be able to address this with more scientific approach. And also, we are, also expanding the impervious coverage as well. Also, de minimis, in relation to the lot itself. I think that it advances the general public's, general area, because we are making this into a higher, financially a higher tax basis for a future owner. We're making the property more beautiful, we're beautifying the neighborhood, and we're modernizing a house that was really in disrepair. So we're really going to make a very nice structure there, and I think that advances the public good. I don't really think there's any major impact to zoning or otherwise, because what we're doing is really very small. It apparently doesn't interest the neighbors because they're not here. It's a very, very small, de minimis amount of disturbance. I think we're going from 20,000 to 22,000 or something, or 20% to 22%, I should say, in the impervious coverage. But I'll let my engineer speak to it more clearly. But I believe that the positives are there, and the negatives really not of any, not really considered.
Okay.
But,
All right, before you get to your engineer, there's some questions. Do you want to ask him some questions based on your report that you?
I'm thinking that probably the engineer
would
is
be-
the better
okay.
suited.
I just want to make sure there wasn't something you might want to ask him.
I don't think so at this time.
Okay. All right, does any, before we hear from the engineer, is there any board member that has a question for the applicant himself?
You mentioned that both variances that you talked about were de minimis. One was 22% lot coverage, which is an increase from 20%.
I believe so, but I'll
Okay, okay. And I was gonna ask you about the side yard setback, because you also mentioned that was de minimis, and I was wondering what the increase was in that.
It's also very small, but I'll let
Okay,
my engineer speak to that.
thank you.
So, I prepared plans dated 4/28, 2022, and I'll be using them as a reference for FST.
Is that what's on the easel?
Yeah.
Okay,
Could you
same,
bring that closer? Easel, so, because we can't see it way back there.
right. And that's the same thing you submitted already, right? No alterations? Okay, fantastic.
You can put it right in the center here, since there's no real public to watch it. All right, very good. If you want to talk and look at those plans, we have that microphone, is that on? Is that mic on?
Forgot to grab it.
Hold on.
No, no, it's right there, okay.
It's right there, okay. You can use that mic if you want to stand there and
Yeah, right behind you.
refer to your plans while you're speaking.
Can I ask quick in a question while you're still getting that set up?
Sure.
Is this a property that you're already under construction on with regular construction permits with the
Yes.
township?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously, they don't know about this new stuff yet because it hasn't been approved yet.
Well, we can't do the new stuff until it is approved.
Right.
But I think they're aware of it.
So,
To clarify, it's not under construction as of now. I drove past this afternoon, there was no construction work.
Oh, no, there's no construction with regards to the variance. That,
No construction, Gary was asking if
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
under
not.
construction.
But you're doing windows, you're doing things like that?
we
or-
took out the windows just
Okay.
the other day.
So you're just upgrades,
We're
basically?
upgrading, yeah, basically upgrades.
I have a question too. Is
I
this
understand.
house
Not this
under
under
contract for
construction,
sale to somebody else based on the plans that you're submitting? to us today?
It is under construction, but not this
Okay.
project. Not this portion of it.
All right. So what would you like to tell us about it?
First, I'd like to just take a moment to describe the property. As you can see, it's generally rectangular with the front of the property is clipped at an angle where it fronts on Preston Drive. Significant features of this property, a roughly 10-foot vertical difference from the road to the front of the house, and roughly a 30-foot vertical difference from the rear of the property out to Long Hill Road in the back. It's also encumbered by a sanitary sewer easement, which runs along the side of the property. There's an existing paved driveway off of Preston with a small turnaround area. And you can see the house is generally modest in size. The existing property also has a nonconformity for lot area, lot frontage, and lot width. So it's a highly encumbered lot. The proposal is to put an addition to the right rear of the building.
And that's the colored area?
Yeah, this is indicated in pink. That's the addition and then the deck to the rear.
I don't know what that is in exhibit since it's colored.
It's colored on the submitted site plan.
It is?
Okay, fantastic.
Those structures are on posts. There's very little ground disturbance involved with this. We're also proposing to rework some of the walkways in front of the property, just make them a little safer and flatter. That's essentially the extent of what we're proposing. There's an existing side yard setback variance, and we're proposing to hold that side yard and just make the addition to the rear.
So the side yard is not decreasing on the front, on the side yard?
No.
Okay. So, other than your lot coverage and, your lot coverage is the only thing that you need a variance for, is that what you're saying?
We have 5 existing nonconformities, which we're not increasing.
Right.
We have a lot coverage variance, which we're exceeding by 2.7% the allowed. And I believe we may also have some additional variances that were picked up by the planner, your board's planner.
This one says, side yard,
Yeah, that's,
25 to 19, is that what you're talking about?
No, that's existing.
yeah, that's
It says
existing.
proposed.
That's
Oh, it's the same, okay.
It's existing.
Right, it's because he's building onto something that's already non-conforming,
Right.
so he's gotta get a whole new variance for it.
Yeah, okay, so aside, you're not changing what's there, you're just increasing what's 19.6 to make it a little bit more.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
an additional 15 feet of
No,
that.
that's why. I was just curious because I was wondering if you were going any closer, but you're
No.
not. Okay. So aside from moving the whole house, you're stuck with what's there.
Exactly. And there's a generally level area behind the house, and that's where we're putting the addition. And again, the addition is up on posts as the property falls to the rear, so very little land disturbance in general.
So you didn't even have to dig out. What's gonna be underneath it? Just natural earth with posts holding it?
I think that's the intent, yeah. I'm not showing any stone there, so I don't have it noted.
You're not gonna build, there's not gonna be like a basement underneath it?
No, we're not proposing a
Okay.
walkout there.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I just want to go through my letter, which is dated February 17th, 2023. So, based on my review of the application, you have 4 existing nonconformities, right? The lot area, lot width, and then the side yard of 1 yard, and the side yard of the 2 yards.
And we had frontage as well.
Front, oh.
It's the same, essentially the same.
Oh, it's the no change,
Yeah.
okay, right, okay. The other thing is, so the maximum lot coverage, I had calculated, it's a de minimis difference, but it's, I think the applicant had said that it was, let me say, 22.6, and I got 23. So it's slightly different.
Okay, you got 22.97 and you said 22.7.
It's like a difference in 57 square feet.
And your planner is correct. We do have a embarrassing math error on the front page of my plan.
Okay, so the 22.97 is correct.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine, as long as we have that on the record, that's the,
Right, so which is, not a lot difference,
No.
but where the variances that I picked up on had to do with critical area. And there are steep slopes in the front yard and there are steep slopes in the rear yard. And honestly, the more I'm looking at it, I think it would be the addition, the ordinance requires that any setback of a building or structure has to be set back 50 feet from a critical area. And it's not shown on here, but it looks, eyeballing it, that the addition will be less than 50 feet from the steep slopes in the rear yard.
Yeah, that's certainly correct. I would estimate it more in the area of 15 feet.
Okay, so that would be a variance.
certainly.
And then there's setback from critical areas in the side yard, and you're required 25, it has to be 25 feet. I think you're okay, but.
Well, there's a small patch of existing critical area that's, again, maybe 12 feet off of the far side of the building where we're not working.
The existing.
Existing
But the
building.
addition's not gonna go further into that.
Yeah, the property adjoining Lot 3 is relatively flat in that area, so there's no critical area on that side
Right.
adjoining the side yard.
So it's only the rear
So
critical
it's just the
area.
rear
Yes.
yard. Okay, and then there are actually, when I was looking at it just now, there are some existing nonconformities with regard to disturbance in critical areas. But that's, I don't know when the house was built versus when those ordinances were adopted.
Probably the house was built before that.
Yeah, that's my guess. And I think there was just some slight discrepancies. The architectural documents indicated that the addition was 217 or almost 218 square feet.
I looked at that. I believe the architect is showing interior dimensions, so I would rather the board go with my 250 square foot
Okay.
addition.
Okay, so to be safe, okay.
Okay. I think those are the extent of my comments, but did you have an opportunity, I'll go through Joe's letter?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to review the Van Cleef letter? And in his sort of review comments, I think it's section 3 beginning on page 2, did you have any comments or any concerns about the recommendations that he makes?
We would agree to all the conditions and terms in the
Okay.
Which is what, for the record?
I wrote down a few.
As far as actual changes to the site, he's asking us to install a dry well.
Okay.
Add some details as far as what portions of the roof are going to be directed to the dry well.
Okay.
Soil testing.
So the exact positioning of the dry well would be unknown until you do that?
Right, we have to
Okay.
provide a soil testing first.
Okay.
Obviously, we'll be outside of the critical areas.
Okay.
Okay, great.
And that's it. That's
Okay.
really the extent of it.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay. All right, what else do you have to tell us?
That pretty much explains the extent of what we're proposing. Again, it's a highly encumbered lot, and we're doing our best with a very modest addition to stay within the.
Are you changing the interior layout? I noticed that this top page confused me. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms and no living room or dining room, and then you turn and you have, on the other one, you have, what was called a bedroom is now a living room, and the kitchen's moved to where the bedroom was, so you're changing the interior layout, right?
I believe it's a complete renovation.
Okay, well, I just want to understand that, because it was a little confusing. And you're putting 2 bathrooms where there was 1. You're putting a master bath and a regular bath right next to each other, right? Yes? You have to say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Well, you can say no, but you have to answer. So the interior is gonna be updated, upgraded, and changed around considering you're putting a master bedroom in?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, any questions of the board engineer from the board members, of the
I have a
applicant's engineer?
question. What is the, okay, so we're increasing the lot coverage. By the way, I just want to get your professional opinion. Do you consider that de minimis, the increase in lot coverage? Because I don't, not, maybe my opinion might not matter, but it's increasing from 20 to 22%, which is not a 2% increase in lot coverage, as we know, right?
Well, it's the minor,
It's a 12.75% increase in coverage, right? It's going up by 400 and something square feet.
it's going up by, yeah, just shy of
Five-
500.
Oh, 500 square feet.
540.
Is his mic still working?
Right, so
Is it-
round it to 500, which is more than it's not 2%, it's 2% on the whole, the whole entire lot coverage, right? But the increase itself is,
Increase in the allowed lot coverage.
Right.
Going from the, over the 20, which is allowed up to the 22.
right.
It's 23, I just want,
Yeah, 23,
just want to
okay.
be clear.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
You did say that before. I'm just rounding here.
No, no, it's
Okay? So what is, first of all, is that a de minimis increase in your opinion on this small lot and already, constrained?
I feel it is, and I feel that way primarily because the negative impact of that 500 square foot is the possibility of increased runoff. We're gonna deal with the increased runoff with the drywall.
That was my next part of the question. Fine, thank you.
The other,
You wanna pick up that other mic and use it, because that mic doesn't seem to be working.
I could add batteries to it.
Well, in the meantime, you,
Chunks of batteries.
We're also, when we start the project, we'll be.
what is wrong with that mic?
You can't move that mic.
Hold on a second.
Overall increase in the impervious coverage, not just the roof of that additional structure. So we'll be capturing all of that additional water.
Okay. What is responsible for the largest percentage of increase there? What are you doing that's making that 400 square feet, 480 to 500 square feet? What is that?
Well, the addition itself is roughly 250 square feet. And we have there were no change to the driveway, so there's no change in pavement.
Is it the deck? Is it?
114 foot increase in the front wall, which we're
Specifying that we'll be using permeable brick pavers. And we
Yet
have,
they still count towards lot coverage?
they do, but
Okay.
it's just helps
Percentage?
with
Okay.
overall. So the addition and the deck in the rear with the steps.
Okay.
And, my opinion of decks, the water does go through decks, and I don't really feel that it's 100% impervious, although it was counted that way.
And there's gonna be, or dirt underneath it, right?
Yes.
Well, are the decks, what's the distance between the bottom of the deck and the ground?
It's a first floor deck, so it's roughly a walkout, so 6 to 7
Standing
feet.
room, you can walk under there?
I think you're gonna have to stoop to get under there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I ask one,
Yes.
real quick, just to confirm? So we're getting rid of is it the side yard critical area or the rear yard one that's?
No, they do need the rear yard,
need the
but
rear
they
yard.
don't need the side
Okay,
or the
fantastic.
existing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. The plan as it is, and the reason for it is so that there's an additional bedroom and a deck, that's the purpose of it? Okay.
Well, you also mentioned you're restructuring the interior of the house.
Right, so we're increasing, I think there's another bedroom, there's an increase of a bedroom, and
And the deck.
deck is just to take advantage of there really isn't much backyard, because it's so steep, but at least you can sit out and look at the view.
And I guess is it fair to ask, why not go up instead of out? Is that fair, staff?
Why not?
Okay.
Unless you
Not-
object?
I mean,
It's not the application in front of us, so I know
No, it
there's
isn't,
kind of-
yeah.
okay.
So it would-
It possibly could entail a height variance as well, since we have the,
well, you have that slope, yeah. You'd have to have a 50-foot height.
Well, you have a story there. You go 23 to 35.
and there are basements exposed in the back.
Yeah, we do
so-
that for the, we don't have an ordinance for that, but we've talked about it forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The walkout
You mean
basement.
the height variance thing?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. We'll figure that out in the next.
Yeah, a lot of towns have the overall height from the basement floor up now.
Is there any other things, anything else you want to tell us about the plans, or?
Again, I just want to try to emphasize to the extent possible that it's a very modest, in my opinion, a modest ask. The addition is not seen from the road. You're not increasing any of the setbacks, 250 square feet. I don't believe it would be seen from the Long Hill Road as well. It's such a height difference, and, cars are going to be driving. No one's stopping and looking up at that. So,
What's separating that house from the house on the right in your plans?
there's an existing fence.
Any bushes, trees, things like that?
I think there's a row of low shrubs along the fence. I'm not going to characterize it as a screening area, but I think there is some vegetation there.
What part of that house that you show a little bit of would be looking at the rear of the house? Is there windows on that side of the house? Is there anything looking at the deck?
I don't know if there's windows on that. It's a side of the house.
Okay.
The house fronts on Preston as well.
So the main view of that backyard would be just from that one side of that house?
Yeah, and the back of that house is already set back from the back of our house, so
And the house on the left is more toward the front of the house, right?
yeah, this is, it's much lower. It's turned at a bit tighter angle to front on Preston. So again, you're looking at the side yard of the, side of the house.
And there's nothing behind it on Long Hill Road, right? That's just trees to the road?
Yeah, it's fairly heavily wooded, once you get into the steep slope area. There's no structures, in that critical area.
And the whole front of the house, is the whole house gonna be re-sided?
Yes,
And, is all new windows and doors and garage doors?
Are there any sheds or other outbuildings on the property?
No,
So there's nothing that can be removed or cleaned up? Okay.
no, and we looked at taking some of the driveway out to decrease the coverage, but we really need that existing turnaround area. It's not feasible to expect someone to try back up out that slope onto Preston.
Yeah,
Fairly significant.
yeah, it's a small driveway to begin with.
Yes.
I'm just a little confused in terms of the measurements and everything. So on the plan, it says specifically 250 square foot addition. That's the part of the house?
Yes.
And the total lot coverage change seems to be about 500 square foot, right? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? So if that's 250, that's half of it, yet looking at the deck and the other, that looks like it would be more just by the eye.
Well, we're also decreasing some of the impervious coverage that exists in the front of the house.
Okay.
We're taking, I believe it's a concrete patio.
Oh, is that little square?
Yeah, so that, where the house is notched out in the front,
Yeah.
we're taking that out and then
Gotcha.
bringing a more narrow
Walkway.
pathway in, yep.
Understood. Okay, yeah.
So that offsets the other.
Yeah, we tried to, there's not much here to remove, but what we could, we did.
Okay.
And you did that so that, your application would be looked at more favorably with the increase? That's why you took away?
Yeah, we're asking for the variance, and I would like that variance to be as small as possible, and I think we've accomplished that on this lot.
Another question. Was there a shed on there before you started your project?
This survey was done several years ago.
Okay.
And so I don't recall there being a shed there.
When you purchased the property, there was no shed on it?
not that I recall, no.
You said that all of the engineering requests are going to be adhered to. Can we go over them real quickly?
Sure.
I could point out a few if you'd like, and Liz, if you could help me. A dry well will be put in to store and infiltrate the volume of runoff. correct?
Yes,
And that water will be redirected to it from the new roof
And the old roof, right?
and the old roof,
yes,
okay? You're gonna have to do a percolation test, or a perk test, as people around here know it.
yes,
And if not, you'll have to have an alternative stormwater management design,
right, yeah, yes.
okay? You have to make sure it's maintained, but that's not for us right now. We need to do soil erosion and sediment control needs to be in place prior to initiating any soil disturbance, correct? Is that
Yes,
done?
that should always be done during construction.
Okay, and I don't know if there's anything that we have to worry about in front of this board.
I think that's about it.
Mhm.
Any other questions for their engineer?
All right, one more time, I'm sorry to keep asking it. So related to the rear yard critical area setback, what was the final distance we have on that one? Is it 35.6 like it is in Liz's memo? Or did we, I think we arrived at a different number a second ago, I just taking too many notes, went too fast.
I had a scale and I can't find it. I don't know where it
Oh,
went.
you want a ruler? I got a ruler right here. He's got it, I got it.
Perfect.
It's scaling about 12 feet from the addition to the top of the slope, which would be,
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Can you go over the stormwater management plan with us? Can you tell us about the dry well you mentioned before?
we actually do have on the plan the standard detail that is used in town for the dry well. So it's essentially a large circular round tank, which is going to go in a pit filled with stone, surrounded with filter fabric. The roof water will be piped from the gutters to the system, and the water within the dry well will dissipate into the ground within 72 hours.
And that will be positioned in the best spot for the property. So that's
Optimal?
optimal for that location, that you still have yet to be determined.
Yeah, I'm going to target the two possible flat areas, one to the right rear and one to the front. I'd like to keep it as far from the house as possible,
Right.
but I also want to,
Is it every roof leader going there?
we're going to size a portion of the roof and bring it to the dry well to bring at least the water, which is equivalent to the increase in the impervious coverage. If, in my estimation, we can't do that and we bring more water, then we're going to oversize the dry well to accommodate that.
Would you agree to do that anyway and try to get more in there, including if there's patio and deck and other areas that
I don't have
flood
an
the water
objection
from?
to that, no.
I'm sorry?
I don't have an objection to that.
Okay.
So you're gonna try to slant as much as you can, or if not all of the downspouts and the gutters toward the, whatever section the dry well is in.
Yeah, an easy solution would be that I believe the peak of this house runs roughly down the middle, so half the house drains to the back and half the house drains to the front. If the dry well were to the rear of the property, we could take all the, half of the roof in the rear, which,
You could put the front around it and to it, right?
That's
It's
what I
going
was gonna
downhill,
say.
right?
well, we could, but keep in mind, I'm laboring here with critical areas that we don't want to disturb.
But you're gonna have a backhoe there, right, anyway, and that's not a big disturbance. That is a hand trench if you want, but it's, you know,
No,
I know it's shale and stuff, but I'm just saying,
We're
the reason why we're being this way with that is this is increasing, as you know, impervious coverage. We're a flood community. Everything we do impacts that. This is on top of the hill, runs right down to the streams that are on Mitchell, runs right down into the river, which is right behind there, and then backs up to here.
Sure.
So every little bit that we can collect and keep out of there is important to us. So if it's
So-
not too much trouble, that's what we're trying to figure out. If we, I know you're saying you're responsible for your increase, but you're already oversized lot. And we're saying, oh, this is grandfathered because it's been like that forever, so we're gonna use that when it's convenient. But when we ask for like a small little thing like that to collect a little bit of water, you know, that's not grandfathered, so.
What I suggested, and keep in mind, our increase in impervious coverage is in the range of 500 square feet. And I'm suggesting we take half of the roof area of the house, which is more than twice that.
Okay.
So we'll have it, in theory, if the calculations are correct and the system functions properly, a decrease in runoff from the site following the application and the improvements.
Than what it is currently.
Yes.
That's part of the what we're trying to do. We're trying to decrease what's
understand.
already, because years ago, as you know, when they built houses in the late 50s, early 60s, they didn't care. They just put it out to the lawn and wherever it went, and that's the issue we're having.
Just one thing,
Yes.
there is a provision in the ordinance, if your deck meets certain specifications, that you could take a 50% deduction in impervious coverage. So amongst the things would you agree to the following? A minimum gap of 3/16 of an inch between adjoining floorboards? You don't know? All right.
I mean,
just 'cause
certainly, we could do that, and I think what the end result would be, the variance that we're asking for would be a little less. Would it have an actual impact in the site and how it functions? I don't know.
I mean, you would knock a
Yeah.
percentage point off.
Yeah, you
but-
could
but-
knock, I mean, anything you knock off.
I'm only hesitant about it because I've done this once before, and the building inspector measured the deck, and they didn't comply with it, and they had to take the whole surface of the deck back off and redo it. Not in this town, but
Oh, why? Because those measurements didn't comply with what? The construction of it?
yeah, the spacing between the boards on the deck.
They wanted less spacing? Or?
No, they
No.
wanted
He
him
agreed
to
to
meet the
something
ordinance,
during
and
the-
they didn't meet the
okay.
ordinance.
Oh, okay,
So
all right.
they didn't do what they were supposed to.
Well, it's good to know now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd rather,
I would rather, but again,
Okay, so
I'm
sticking-
perfectly willing
sticking
to
with 23.
agree to it.
Okay.
So in terms of the slope area and being only 12 feet back when you're supposed to be 50 feet back, are there any special construction or, you know, remediation that you have to do during construction to address the fact that you're encroaching on that critical area? And it looks pretty steep.
It is steep. We're not encroaching on the critical area, we're encroaching on, I guess, the buffer to the critical area.
Right.
So
Well,
we're,
it's sloped in that area too, where you're building.
it's sloped, but it's not sloped to the extent that it would be a critical area. We're proposing to install silt fencing around the top edge of that slope, which should be constructed and maintained throughout construction, so nothing goes down that slope. One of the things that I need to look at when I'm talking about our sizing and locating the dry well is, can we construct the dry well, dig the hole, and not blow out the side of the slope in the back? So most likely, we're going to end up in the front yard with the dry well. We're also constructing the addition on posts, so it's not a foundation that we're excavating. It's going to be probably a 2-foot diameter sono tubes filled with concrete.
So basically, you're not even digging that much earth up then? You're just digging?
No, the whole design is to try to prevent any disturbance back there, so obviously it wouldn't be viewed favorably.
Question on the dry well. Would it be best practices to have that slope away from the house, or you want to bring the water up the slope and then have it, like, you're gonna have a release valve on there, or?
Yeah,
release-
we would have to have an overflow. If I had the dry well in the front, we would have to pipe an overflow around to the side yard and release it onto some stone, so it wouldn't erode. My concern with putting it in the back is introducing all that water into the ground on a slope. So we would have to sink that dry well deeper than normal, so we wouldn't have any impact on the slope. So that's what I'm saying. I believe it's going to end up in the front yard.
Has there been any excavating on the site now? Is that all, it's probably gonna be all shell there, right?
There's been no excavating inside.
Could you take that microphone and move it closer to you, so that we get your answers?
But what are you gonna do if you hit shell and rock there?
I'll have a discussion with your engineer. Typically, when that happens, and we can't infiltrate water into the soil, there are other methods of restricting the rate of the water that leaves the site, and we could do something like that.
So you're open to whatever fits the site?
Yeah, we'll work with again, it's a very restrictive site, and we'll come up with an innovative design that will work.
There is a contingency in
Yes.
Joe's letter, in the event that that happens, that he would work with the applicant to have an
Develop
alternative
other methods.
stormwater system. Yeah.
I believe they already stepped to complying with that number.
Just so everyone, just for the record, there is no public, so I can open it to the public and close it to the public, because there is no public. So just on the record, there's no public to ask any questions. Okay, now that we got that done.
Can I ask you just a technical process question? Does it matter that he has incorrectly identified the county we live in here?
Yes, yeah.
Does that matter for the documents? It says Union County, not
Probably a
Morrisville.
good thing to have that
Yeah,
revised.
you're gonna fix any corrections
At the top.
At the top,
at the top.
Oh, in big letters, that's
Yes.
good. Okay.
ones that I can read.
That's an eye chart, cover one eye.
I saw that and it didn't register.
I just didn't even know, I can't read it from this distance, so. Yeah, any mistakes like that you'll fix before the.
Yes, I'll be sure to fix that one in particular.
We allow you so many mistakes. Any other questions? No? Okay. Would you like to sum up your application for us? Talk into the mic. Into the mic.
Yeah, use the remote one. That one.
Is this working?
Use the remote one, I think it
Oh,
might be
okay,
better.
all right. Well, I just, I think that it's obvious that we have, addressed all the issues, that we are providing an upgrade in the neighborhood, in the house, that we are providing a beneficial to the public, a benefit to the public, and that we will do all we can to minimize any, negative physical impact with dry wells and what have yous and silt fencing, and that no matter what the actual number is, whether it's 22 or 22 point whatever, that it's really a very small amount for the good that it does in increasing the already existing variance. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Gary, would you like to start the deliberations?
Well, you definitely have a challenging site there, and the house is very close to the critical area now. It sounds like you're trying to do everything that you can to, add some square footage instead of going up, going out. I think a deck in the back sounds and it looks like it'll be a great addition to that home. The concerns over the increase in the water runoff that might happen, sounds like you're doing everything you can to keep it on the property, improving what is already happening. So I think that's a good thing.
Tom?
Sure. I'm looking at the cons. You are increasing coverage from a little over 20% to nearly 23%. However, to the positive, there's no change to the side yard. You're not going to be encroaching on neighbors either side. You will be putting in water management to take care of the extra percentage of coverage. This house will definitely be more livable than the current layout, although that's not for us to decide, but in doing so, it's going to be an enhancement to the neighbors and the neighborhood. And for those reasons, I believe that I will be looking upon this favorably.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think, you have a pretty restricted space to work with all the steep slopes as well as the narrowness, exceptional narrowness, and the size of your lot being undersized. And I appreciate that you have some existing nonconformities, but you're not, other than the one lot coverage, which you seem to be attempting to try to, as best possible, not increase. But, you know, in terms of what you want to do, you have to increase it somewhat. The other nonconformities, you're staying within the existing nonconformity that you have, so I do appreciate that. You're not encroaching any further on any of your neighbors or on the side yards or setbacks that are already out of conformity. And I appreciate I appreciate your concern about not necessarily wanting to try to deal with the deck. It would be nice if you could, but I understand that, you know, I don't think you want that as a requirement of this, but if possible, I would appreciate if you could try, but that's obviously up to you. I do also, you know, Jerry's questioning about the runoff. I think that, of course, I'm no expert on it, but as long as our engineer and are amenable to what your plan is, also because I happen to live down the hill, definitely as much water as you can keep up there as possible and not bring down to us is beneficial, but otherwise I believe I'll be supportive of this application.
Jerry?
For all the reasons my colleagues talked about already, critical areas, steep slope, et cetera, challenges to the property, I agree with all that. I know you're trying to do the best you can to mitigate that, but again, it's back to the water. For me, that's my major issue. I'd be in favor of the application if we could make a promise to mitigate somehow. And not only what you're responsible for, which most people think is just the increase in lot coverage, but you represented that you're going to, you know, at least double that. So with something like that, I'm in favor of it. I think you should try to get the whole roof, right? Because I know it's minimal disturbance. It is disturbance of a critical area, but it's temporary and it's minor. Talk about de minimis. I mean, we're talking about some little trenches for some, you know, PVC pipe. That to me goes away pretty quickly. The water that you're keeping from running down the hill, that's for year after year after year for 50 more years, and it's huge. It's a huge impact over time. So I'm in favor of it if we get something like that in there.
Thank you. Scott?
I think you've tried to cover all your bases, and I think you did a very tasteful job in the design and what you want to do. I do agree with Jerry. Where I live is just down from where they put a whole new development in, and ever since then, water runs. And I'm near the top of the mountain too, so water keeps going. So if you could do that, I'm in favor.
Jessica?
So I'm also with Mr. Aronio and Mr. Hain in terms of, I think the only way that the benefit will outweigh any detriment is sufficient mitigation of the water runoff, knowing what we've dealt with in this town in terms of impervious coverage issues and water runoff that was just described. But to that point, we'll trust in the experts that they will make sure that that gets done. And I do think that in terms of the benefits, enhancing the property the way that you've proposed, especially just in terms of the rehab and renovation of a kind of rundown property, benefits the neighborhood, benefits the town, and I think it's pretty consistent with what we're seeing in this neighborhood where this house is located. So with those caveats, I'm in favor of the application.
Thank you. I also reflect the statements of my fellow board members. I believe that the applicant has shown a willingness to work with the board, willingness to work with our engineer, trying to get as much water kept on the property, more than what's there now, obviously. Trying and willing to try to get all the roof into the dry well if it's possible, you know, geographically or gravity-wise. And trying to make sure that not just the addition, but also the existing does not go off the property, which is a big help. Because right now, it's all going off the property, so that would be a great help to us. I also believe that the addition to the house, the deck, the rearranging of the house internally will increase the value, will also help the neighborhood. Neighborhoods always get a boost in in just the presence of a house that's been upgraded, as opposed to one that's been never touched and that was built in the 50s and 60s. We all know what that looks like. So, you know, I think I would be in favor of it too. I think the applicant is doing a good deed for the neighbors and fixing up the neighborhood. So I would also be in favor of it.
Can I ask another question about the deck?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. You had mentioned, the space of the boards. I can remember another application for a deck where we had to provide variance, and what is put underneath the deck was kind of important, that it was gravel rather than dirt. I didn't hear what would be underneath this
Which
deck.
is,
and
I
does
asked,
that
it was
help?
just dirt, just regular
Okay, does
dirt.
gravel help better than dirt? Because we had another application where they put gravel.
Yes, that's another one of the requirements in order to lower your,
Okay, would you be adverse to putting gravel under it?
Is there a certain thickness of gravel? that-
yes, hold on, sorry, I just closed the ordinance.
Okay, no, I mean,
Let me
you
They
don't
sounded
wanna
like
do
you
it
were about to
anyway,
go
right?
through the
No,
ordinance.
no, the
and
gravel
it's-
would
and they-
help
But it-
too.
but
Yeah, but he
with-
doesn't want to do the spacing.
You'd have to have them both, I
That's the
assume.
deck part. We're
Yeah,
talking about-
you can't have,
Yes.
you can't
Okay.
have narrow spacing in gravel,
Fine.
it doesn't work. It's,
Okay.
you have to
Well-
let the water flow through,
Okay,
right? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
okay.
What's
Is
with
the
the gravel do if there's no
3/16
water?
greater or less than what?
Greater, it's wider
It's
than
making a
normal.
wider space.
It's wider spaces, right?
Helps the water go through.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly,
And then having something underneath it that doesn't just run off.
right,
Is an
helps to,
improvement.
yeah,
Right,
slow
absorb it.
the seepage or whatever it is, yeah,
Slow the runoff.
yeah.
Okay. All right, well, whatever they can do to decrease the runoff, whether we dry well, some other method, the deck, I'm sure they're gonna work with our engineers.
There's
So they-
no sense in putting, or asking them to put gravel.
No, not unless they go with the wider spacing.
Okay.
So if they choose to, that's even a bonus, but we're not, we can't make it a requirement, because we're giving them the variance for the, unless they
Right,
agree to it.
Right, I see.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
What, should we have our attorney read
Yes.
over the conditions?
Right,
Yes.
so,
Yeah, that'd be good.
not many conditions here. I think Liz already went through Joe's memo, board engineer. Everything was encapsulated in there as far as coming together, meeting of the minds between the engineers to design the stormwater infiltration system and taking care of all that stuff. The only other stipulation I had on top of that was revising the plans so that we have the right county name. I would also include in there, if it's okay with the applicant, just including that 540 square foot figure for the total, I think that was the higher estimate that we went with, just having that on the
We
plans
have
as
the
well.
correct,
The correct,
correct numbers on the plan,
And the
absolutely.
correct
Rear yard.
lot coverage, too.
Right, the correct lot coverage as well. And then also, if you wouldn't mind, also just adding, I guess it's not a detail, but just a note or some kind of measurement on there to show what the actual setback distance is from the critical area in the rear yard.
Sure.
Okay, and,
Well, and I think that the stipulation regarding the dry well
right,
was that beyond what's in the engineer report, that their applicant is going to endeavor to create a well large enough to capture
Right.
all runoff.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
All roof.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was encapsulated in the memo or not, but awesome, thank you. Okay, drywall, large. You guys okay with that? I think I think they stipulated that already.
okay.
And I believe that was it, unless anybody else has, anything else they can recall, or, no?
All right, so the motion was Mr. Aronio, and the second was Vice Chairman Grosskopf, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Aronio?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Grosskopf?
yes.
Mr. Giannakis?
Yes.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Brennan?
Yes.
Chairman Correct.
Yes,
Motion carries.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Nice job.
Now, due to failure to notice, we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
No, wait a minute, let's make sure, before we adjourn, just go over what we're gonna do next time, what's coming up.
So next time we have the use variance for the Taco Bell at the Bank of
Yeah,
America.
and the use variance is for the drive-through.
Is it like
The
Shark
use
Tank where
itself.
they bring samples?
I said
I'm
that.
sorry? Yeah.
I will.
I'm pretty sure that's an ethics violation,
No,
but it'd be nice.
I consider it evidence.
How many tacos
So-
can we get on the record?
Yeah, so that's on next, and then, so the other one that we had tonight will go to the end of March. We're hoping to start the assisted living facility, which is another use variance, the first or second meeting within April.
And that's the one next to Walmart.
Correct. Now, I will note for the,
Warwick.
I will note for the board members,
Going up everywhere, man.
Yeah, sorry.
I need to note for the board members that for you all, this is the year of the use variances, because there are at least 3 other use variances that I know of that are gonna be hitting my desk within the next several months. That being said, use variance need 7 votes.
Right, so everybody try to come.
So please, 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 and some of you are good, some of you are not so good about checking your emails and getting back, letting me know. So, in lieu of that with applicants, you know, so that we don't have to bump them, you know, if we don't have 7 voting members, please keep me appraised of your calendars this year as we go forward with scheduling, because that will be very helpful when I schedule for an applicant, whether I know if I'm gonna have 7 board members or not.
Right, it's not fair to the applicant to show up here and
Yeah.
not have the 7 members and then have to leave, because he's paying his experts and they're paying people. And normally, these use variances do entail an attorney, an engineer, a planner, and,
Oh, they're gonna have, and they're gonna have
Right.
public,
Right,
there's gonna be a
right.
whole
So-
gamma.
you know, I mean, we can't control what happened with Carlton with the failure to notice,
No.
but we can control showing up.
What are the April dates?
The April dates are April 4th and April 18th.
Okay, great.
All right, so if you know something now, let us,
Absolutely,
you know,
tell me ahead of
let us
time.
know, because we'll make sure. And when is Mr. Flatley gonna join us?
I believe he said he would be in attendance at our next meeting.
Good, okay.
So we can finally swear him in and,
Yes, we're gonna
Or
swear.
swear at him.
Yeah, whichever.
yes.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.